Thank you very much, Salvis and the team for organizing this webinar. I'm so delighted to be speaking and to be sharing my perspective on human impact and how the communities are coerced into participating into this trade and how it is affecting their livelihoods really and the environment in terms of the biodiversity that we are putting a spotlight on. And I'd like to introduce myself to our participants here today. My name is Dibblex Lesalon Soyiantet. I'm the host and founder of Boots on the Ground podcast, an interview-style podcast that focuses on three main themes: wildlife conservation, biodiversity, preservation, and climate change. I have been doing podcasting for a year and 9 months now, and it's been fantastic engaging different partners and different people on the ground who are putting their lives on the forefront of conservation in Africa to spearhead, this move and to ensure that our resources are safe and they are used in a sustainable manner. And my background is in tourism. I did tourism management from Strathmore University class of 2017. And what fueled my passion really for wildlife conservation is seeing people, taking ownership of the resources and them benefiting and getting empowered, from this. And I did my final year project in Samburu to assess the level of host community participation in tourism. And I was fortunate enough to visit Reteti Elephant Sanctuary. I will start by, acknowledging and praising the conservation efforts of certain organizations here around Africa, around Kenya, in a case in mind being Reteti Elephant Sanctuary, where Reteti Elephant Sanctuary is located in Namunya Conservancy. It is the first community-run and owned elephant sanctuary. And seeing the people there taking ownership of their resources, seeing them, being on the forefront really to protecting, to sensitizing, other people that this is us, this is our identity. Because you cannot talk about coming to Kenya, you cannot talk about Africa without mentioning the elephants. You cannot talk about coming to Kenya. You cannot talk about coming to Kenya without talking about the wildebeest migration. In fact, I'm sitting in a tent. I'm in the Masai Mara, as you can see, and it's beautiful. This will not have been possible if we will not have taken action, to protect the resources that are here. I will have, among others, who depend on this wildlife for a living, would have been maybe selling tomatoes somewhere or doing other businesses, but I'm here because of the efforts that have been put in safeguarding these resources. And Reteti, I was speaking about Reteti Elephant Sanctuary, a conservation success in Africa, but to mention a few. And the reason why I've mentioned that is to just show you how, if communities are involved, if communities are empowered, if communities taste the real benefits of conservation and of tourism, then they will take ownership, they will care about our resources. As my colleagues, and building on what my fellow presenters have mentioned, you have seen the pyramid, and the source of all this is here on the ground. It's at the community level, at the local level. Why are these community members, why are they being coerced into participating into this, illegal wildlife trade? Number one is because they lack incentives, proper incentives in wildlife management. You find that some of the conservation models that we have adopted post-independence are parachute conservation, for lack of a better word, parachute conservation models where there is no proper involvement, and the local people do not feel they are empowered. They do not feel that they are involved. And when I'm talking about involvement, I'm not talking about casual jobs which are meant to maybe hide or rather show that they are supporting. I'm not talking about, yes, a lot of has been done, schools have been built, hospitals have been built, but local people are asking, Is there a way we can be led? Is there a way we can be empowered to manage these resources ourselves? And if that is not happening, then retaliatory attacks will happen. The community will not take part. If big people with big money come, the bosses at the top of the pyramid come on the ground and coerce these local people, they will give in. Why? Because they don't care about the resources, because there are no proper incentives, that they do not feel the need to conserve these resources. I'd like to use this platform to condemn strongly what is happening in Ngorongoro Conservation Area in Tanzania, where human rights are being violated. The local people are being evicted from their ancestral homes. Such is the case. Such cases are driving, communities out of their ancestral lands, and destabilizing what we have been, our culture. We have been living with this wildlife for decades, for millennia now, and we know how to do this. If you go and ask those Maasai people, they will tell you that this is our land. Why is the government coming and evicting them and shooting at them and using force? And I hear they want to set up the conservation area for trophy hunting. Trophy hunting is another key thing which is driving illegal wildlife trade forward, because those bosses with the big money from maybe Arab countries, the other countries that we all know of, come, they will, it will be very bad for us to give in and to allow such things to happen. So I strongly condemn those attacks, and the people have been living with these animals for a long time now, and that is the story we want to push forward. Corruption is also big. Anne-Marie, my colleague, has mentioned, has touched on it a bit. Corruption is driving the illegal wildlife trade forward. Underpaid rangers on the ground, who are our ears and eyes on the ground, if they are not paid well, they will compromise. They will compromise, and they will give in, and it will be very, very hard for us to not be involved in the trade, really. And another factor is human wildlife conflict. I don't know if you saw a video going around. There was this lion that was feeding on a cow the other day. I think it was in some conservancy here in the Masai Mara, and there were tourists, surrounding that lion, taking photographs. And there was a little boy from the community, I think, who was grazing the cow, not in the park really, but on the no man's land, on the border. He was coming, to chase the lion with a spear, and the lion ran. And the tourists were wondering, why are you scaring the lion? Just let it, just let it feed. These are some of the issues that we are talking about. Human wildlife conflict is on the rise. Competition of needs between people and wildlife. In fact, one of the key drivers that is driving elephant populations towards extinction in Kenya and across Africa is human-elephant conflict. Africa's population also is expected to double in 2050, and we can talk about conservation. We can talk about reducing all these pressures that face our biodiversity. But if we don't have enough land for this wildlife to roam, if you are closing and fencing off wildlife corridors, like as in the case of in Amboseli, where community land is being subdivided, then we are putting our livelihoods at risk. We are putting all these resources that we have lived with at risk. And human wildlife conflict is something that we really need to look at, and we have to keep and make enough people to care about what is happening on the ground, really. And community-led conservation is the answer. A people-focused, a people-first approach to conservation is and to reducing illegal wildlife trade is the answer to what we are looking at. And I will be very you know, are interested in seeing what we come up with, you know. And another factor is, lack of collaboration, you know, on the ground, really, between governments, between the local governments, between the national government, between the private sector, because you see that some countries are doing much better than others when it comes to formulation of laws and putting in measures to track, you know, to identify, prevent, and track illegal wildlife trade. A case in example is Kenya. We have, you know, we have been leading on the forefront, really, in the East African and Sub-Saharan Africa region for a very long time. Maybe just to mention a few of the examples here is the Wildlife Management Act of 2013, and there is a penalty for anyone who is found, you know, with illegal wildlife products, you know, belonging to endangered species, a maximum, you know, a penalty of 20 million or life imprisonment. There are also other aspects of canine detection units in the airports and in the seaports, which are working. You know, they are cross-border. We are trying to, you know, put in cross-border collaboration amongst, you know, stakeholders to see how we can, you know, work together. But if other countries are doing much more, and some countries are lagging behind, like trophy hunting, as I mentioned earlier while I was starting this conversation. Trophy hunting, for example, is legal in 12 countries in Africa, and Kenya was among the first countries to ban trophy hunting in 1977, and then in 1989 the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna banned ivory trade, which was a wake-up call, you know, that we are losing species at a very fast rate, and if you don't, you know, be careful, then what will we be left with? A lot of livelihoods which depend on tourism are at stake, and we will destabilize ecosystems. You know, if we don't have elephants in the ecosystem, then we are talking about a whole ecosystem being destabilized. And these are some of the measures that the government has put, you know, to stop the acceleration of poaching, really. And it's very important to highlight the successes, and it's a wake-up call for all of us, really, to care about this. And tourism is big. A lot of livelihoods depend on tourism for a living. And I remember last year, in 2020, on the onset of COVID-19, tourism was basically on life support. And in 2021, I visited the Mara to just do a story on some women there who sell beads at the gate to tourists who visit the reserve. And just hearing from their stories how they suffered during that 1.5 years into COVID. It was very, very bad. And if we don't, you know, take up action, if we don't talk, if we don't collaborate, if we don't finance, you know, some of these ideas and some of these initiatives that we have, then it will be very difficult for us to move this agenda forward. And that is why I'm very happy and fortunate to be here, to be speaking at professionals in the banking and fintech industry. If we come up with systems that really that can be replicated and that can be scalable, even at the community level, to just you know, spread that awareness, to make people care from the onset of all this, then we will avoid a lot, and we will achieve a lot in the long term. Yeah, so mine is to, you know, bring attention to what we are talking about, and to really challenge us, really, to as Anne-Marie had said, go out of our houses now that COVID is not around anymore. Let's visit our national parks. Let's spread the message. Because if I don't know what an elephant is, if I don't know what a rhino is, and maybe my profession is a lawyer, as in this case we are working here with the bankers and the people in the financial sector, then it will be very difficult for us to, you know, even devise mechanisms to track, identify, and prevent this illegal wildlife trade. So we have to care about our resources. Right now, it's the onset of the season. You can also technology has also played a very big part in sensitizing and in creating awareness about poaching. There are lots of materials, a lot of videos there we can watch on Netflix. We can also do VR. You can actually go on a safari. One of the beauties that we get to enjoy of technology, you can actually go on a safari while seated on your couch really, using the VR. And these are some of the ways to make people come out here and join hands and engage really. So I think I will end it there, but we are all we have in this fight to protect the rights of nature. We cannot do this alone. Let's join hands. Let's bring in our perspectives, our minds. Let's share and drive this conservation agenda forward as a unified front, and tell other Africans why conservation of these resources matters, and why we need every tool in the toolbox to work it out and to curb illegal wildlife trade. Thank you so much, Salvis. I think I will end it there.